Hey everybody, so I want to talk about the Edmonton Oilers here because just when it seemed like the Oilers got everything figured out, like they had turned their season around, like they were headed in the right direction, they completely have fallen flat on their faces, gone right back the other way, dropped out of a playoff spot, and have now lost 5 games in a row. Um, so Edmonton obviously had a disastrous season last year. Weren't anywhere near the playoffs. Um, were really, a huge disappointment last season. Then got off to a pretty lousy start this year. And by Thanksgiving, Todd McClellan was fired. They brought in Ken Hitchcock, and things seemed to turn around. Edmonton was playing much better under Ken Hitchcock. They were winning games, which is the biggest difference. They were winning games. They were getting much better team defense. Their goaltending was better. They were scoring goals. And it looked like Edmonton was a team that could be a playoff team this year. And they moved into a wild card spot. They were in good shape. You were like, okay, this team might do something. Well, that has since worn off over the last couple of weeks because their last win came on December 14th. And since then, things have not been good for the Edmonton Oilers. They've lost 5 games in a row. Their record, at one point, they were at 18-12-3, headed in the right direction, in a playoff spot, looking good. They are now 18-17-3 with those 5 losses. 39 points, which is 4 points out of a playoff spot, which Dallas currently holds the last wild card spot with 43 points. And I mean, this team's just collapsed the last 2 weeks. They lost 4-2 to Vancouver, a team that they're better than. They lost 4-1 to St. Louis, a team they should have beaten. They lost 6-3 to Tampa Bay, and Tampa's the best team in the league, so you can excuse that loss. Then they lost 4-2 to Vancouver again. Vancouver's a team that they have to win against, and they're not. And then last night they lost 7-4 to San Jose, and the game wasn't as close as that score shows. San Jose really dominated that game. In the last 5 games, the Edmonton Oilers have been outscored 25-12 in 5 games. And as you can see, they've given up at least 4 goals in every single one of those 5 losses. I mean, talk about a team just that was on the uptrend, just going like that. I mean, come on. This is a team that should be in the playoffs. This is a team with a talented roster. This is a team that we shouldn't be seeing garbage like this from. Yet, for some reason, they just continue to fail year after year after year. I mean, they're almost back to a 500 team, and they've got Winnipeg tomorrow night. That's a tough game. That is a tough game, Winnipeg tomorrow night. But they have to get back on track. If they lose in regulation, they're back to 500. 18-3 if they lose tomorrow in regulation. They have got to get back on track. It's frustrating. When you look at this team, they should be better than this. They've fallen out of a playoff spot. They look lousy. They're giving up way too many goals, giving up 5 goals a game in the last 5 games, and barely scoring 2. They're lucky they scored 4 last night, or they wouldn't be even. They'd be scoring about 2 goals a game if they didn't score 4 yesterday. I mean, come on, guys, come on. This team shouldn't be in this situation, and Connor McDavid is still producing. Connor McDavid is still, well over a point per game. He's going to get 100 points again this season. But one player doesn't make a team, and Edmonton is the perfect example of that. You saw it last year where McDavid led the league in points, but Edmonton still sucked. He has a chance to lead the league in points again this year, although Kucherov and Rantanen are giving him a good run for his money. But he's still producing at an extremely high level. He's going to get to 100 points again, and this team continues to be a middling 500 team. Come on. You've got to put a better team around McDavid than this. And this team that is around him should be performing better than this, but they're not. I don't know what's left to do other than trying to make some major trades or something, because you've fired the coach, you've brought in a new coach, and he was extremely successful at first. They've the first few weeks under Hitchcock, they played miles ahead of where they were before him, but that seems to have worn off. They've lost 5 in a row, and they're back down to being a 500 hockey team. And that they shouldn't be that. Listen, this is a team that should be in the playoffs, and they continue to underperform and underachieve. So other changes clearly need to be made, and it's not the coach at this point. They played well at first under him. That every team's, well, not every team. We look at Chicago. Most teams get a boost when a coaching change is made. Most teams, the team changes the coach and things change. Look at the Flyers. 3-1-1 under Scott Gordon after being, a heaping pile of garbage under Hackstall. Flyers have played much better under Scott Gordon. Most teams get a boost when the coach is changed. Edmonton got that boost, but that boost only lasts for so long. It's absolutely worn off at this point. So now you're starting to see roster issues, or a team that just doesn't play well together, a team that doesn't have enough something in the roster. I don't know what, but there are major issues in Edmonton. So who are the Edmonton Oilers? I really don't know. I guess they're a 500 hockey team. I thought maybe they had turned a corner when they started playing really well under Hitchcock. I thought maybe that was who they were, and they just needed a new voice and a new coach to get them there, and that they were going to take off and run with that. But after the last 5 games, they look like the same old Edmonton Oilers that we saw the last couple of last year in the first part of this season. So I don't know. I thought going into the season they were a bubble playoff team. Right now, they look like a bubble playoff team, and if they continue to play like this, they're not going to get in. So, things just continue to be frustrating with the Edmonton Oilers because they just can't put anything consistently good together. And when they are good, they gain in the standings, and then they go do this and blow it all. They've completely lost any ground that they've made up in the standings. They've gotten passed by Anaheim. They've gotten passed by Dallas. They've gotten passed by Vancouver, Minnesota. They were up there, and all these teams have come right back and passed them. It's just frustrating because this team should be better than what they are. So I don't know if you start making make a trade at this point, making multiple trades at this point, or what you do. Oilers fans last night after this loss to San Jose were going off on Twitter. They were pissed. And I don't blame them. 5 losses. You pull yourself into a playoff spot. You work your ass off, play really well, and pull yourself into a playoff spot, and then in 2 weeks you throw it all away. Everything you gained, you just threw it all away with 5 straight losses. It's got to be extremely frustrating to be an Oilers fan. And I don't blame them for being mad. This team should be better than what they are. They should be a playoff team. Right now they're not. They're wasting Connor McDavid, who I think is the best player in the league. They can't be bad forever, can they? The last 20 years, especially the last 15, for the Edmonton Oilers franchise has just been such a disaster. Such an absolute disaster. And it doesn't look like this year is going to change any of that. Now, sure, they could go rip off 5 straight wins and pull themselves back up, but it's a lot harder to catch teams in the standings, especially with the loser point for overtime games, than it is to drop. It's pretty easy to drop if you go through a bad stretch. It's hard to catch up because those teams in front of you are all collecting points while you are. It's hard to catch up. So Edmonton has their work cut out for them. They're obviously only 4 points out of a playoff spot. They're not completely eliminated from playoff contention or anything, but they're not playing well right now, and it's going to be a tough, long road ahead of them. They have got to get this turned around. They have got to start playing well on a consistent basis, and they've got a lot of points to make up at this point. So they need to start winning games, starting with tomorrow night against Winnipeg. At home against Winnipeg, there's no reason they shouldn't be, jacked up for that game and ready to go and get out there and really bring it to them. If they can't get up for that game, this team's all done. If you can't get up for a home game, trying to break a 5-game losing streak against one of the best teams in the league, you don't belong in the NHL. So we'll see how Edmonton looks tomorrow night. But this is such a frustrating team. Just absolutely frustrating. They should be better than this. Apparently they're not. And what do we have? We have a 500 hockey team on the outside of the playoffs looking in. And that's not where the Edmonton Oilers should be. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media, check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.